Recording has started.
All right,
It's on. All right.
here we go.
When we met last time, day before Christmas.
Yep. Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, I had a good Christmas. And
Awesome.
what'd you get that was interesting? Get
Ooh.
anything interesting?
Obviously, I got some cool socks. Got
All
my
right, you got it. Yeah, clothing is
yeah
always fun.
socks,
Stocks of stock.
stocks of socks.
We should have like Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving, like that last bit of November. It's like we
Yeah,
should do this every month. You get together with friends and eat.
we do. My family,
Mm.
we do this. We've been doing it for like 20 plus years now. It's like we play Monopoly, so it's like me, my mom, my brother, and sister. Like so,
Oh,
we
it's
all
a
play
tradition.
together. Oh yeah, no, it's just huge smack talking. So like every year, it's like we're not family right now, we're enemies right now. We get really we get really intense and serious about it, but it's fun. It's something we look forward to every year.
Any
So
any uh any Radel rules that are obscure that we would know about, but they've evolved into your family's competition
I've
tradition?
heard we play it wrong. Um, like by like we'll do this thing. Like I'll post it on Facebook, like the start of it, and like we have a bunch of family and friends that comment on it every year and are like, "You're playing it
Right?
wrong," or like, "That's not according to the rules." So I'm waiting for Monopoly to like comment on
Are
it
you
one
having
year.
fun though?
Oh yeah, it's a great time.
Good,
Like
it's a
it's
rule.
fun. Like my mom started it when we were kids, like years and years. Like I said, about like 20 plus years ago, and
That's
we've just been
great.
doing it ever since. We did the free parking thing wrong apparently. So then we recently changed the rules to that. So I think we're playing it correctly now. But
Do
yeah,
whatever's most fun.
yeah.
Yeah, smack
What'd you
smack
get that
talk
was
and Monopoly.
interesting? Yeah.
I got a T-shirt that says Casa Bonita Dive Team 1974.
Okay, that's cool.
If anybody
Nice.
knows what Casa Bonita is, there's a documentary on Netflix about the renovation of Casa Bonita. I would highly recommend.
All right,
So
I'll have to
we're going
check
to
it
talk
out.
about Envision today.
Yeah,
Um, the last time we chatted about this, it was more of an introduction, like how do I get my stuff out of my design tool and
yeah,
then get it into Envision, and then just a quick walkthrough, nice and light, 15 minutes.
yeah.
Um, Today we're going to do a deeper dive, so we don't need to even open the design tool. We're just
I think
gonna
we're just
we're
starting
opening
with
Envision,
yeah,
and so let's talk about where this fits in the workflow. Because if you're in your design file, you rather sketch up and you push start, there's Enscape.
yep,
But then you want to take it to the next level. Or let's say you have a really big project, or you want to include the site file and you've got files from both. What's the problem you think this is solving?
this will handle large scenes. So when I'm sure a lot of us experience this, like when a file
What's a
gets to
large scene? Like,
gigs,
okay, that's big.
yeah, gigabyte files, multiple linked files. If we're talking
Right.
Revit, multiple linked files, or another really cool thing that I really like is if you are working with multiple different design applications. So say you got the structure in Revit, your design facade, this cool crazy facade in Rhino or SketchUp or something like that. You got multiple different
Right.
design applications. You're doing something in Vectorworks or ArchiCAD to any of those. You can combine because we all know files. Trying to combine files into one design
Oh, into one
application.
design tool and then start an Enscape. Whereas with this,
Yep,
you can export each of your design
yep,
files and combine them into Envision.
exactly. Yep,
It's also
and
like when
then
you get really small files and you start set dressing.
yep,
Like I find that people download soft furnishings from the
yep,
SketchUp warehouse and put them into SketchUp, like they're in deadline crunch and they're going to do some renderings. And
yeah,
they start export like pillows that have been designed in Max and they've got a gazillion triangles and it
yep,
starts slowing down the model. That's
exactly.
like a stress point. And then I think
Yep,
sometimes we can't make the design file do everything until we need
right.
to. And sometimes you just need to visualize ahead of the design process. You have to create concept renderings and you don't want to stuff all of that into your design tool. You want to be able to like set dress to a very natural and believable level of detail without having to put all that in your like I wouldn't want all that in my Revit file.
Wait,
And then if it's not the Revit file, I can't see it in Enscape. So this
right.
environment will allow you to set dress to an extraordinary level of detail. very large files or small files that are just completely tricked out.
Yep. And
And
then when you need that presentation piece, when you need that final presentation piece, and let's say you need, again, going back to what you said about things that don't need to be inside the design application, like, or that can't do, like, animation, like we need people
oh,
walking
like
around.
animating assets, moving things
Yeah.
moving
Like,
around, and right, right.
yep. When you just need that extra little life in there, like, yeah, and
Hmm.
Enscape can do wind animation with vegetation and grass, but if you just need a person standing there just doing a little movement or something, or you want to simulate a crowd
It's
walking
just
through the
natural.
streets or
Yeah.
something, something like that.
Okay.
That's not something the CAD or BIM tools can do natively, so therefore Enscape can't see it. So this is you know your new tool
So
now where
if
you
you
can.
can keep it light in the design file when you don't
Yep.
know,
Yep.
and export to Envision,
Exactly.
and then
Yep.
apply your materials, apply your lights, do your planting and vegetation, and not stuff all of that in the design file until it's resolved, like until you get some direction from the
Yeah.
design team and the customers.
Hmm.
So,
But also another
okay.
big part too is if you already have projects that have been built up, your architect or interior designer is already using Enscape on that project already, and they put some assets like, hey, they want trees over here, things like that. If they're already at that point too, and they already put materials, like they already worked with people and they want that set of materials, all
Right.
that'll translate across.
Oh, so for
Versus
a
if you,
campus project as you're designing,
yeah,
or for a large project as you've got another
yep,
phase, you
yep.
can simply add that to your project. Okay.
Exactly, and then you can just further refine it inside of here, and it's 100% ray traced environment, so you're going to get much better reflections than you would with Enscape, much better quality than you would with Enscape, and it's maintained that
Right.
ray tracing the whole time, unlike some other.
Yeah, it's going to take you a little more time, but the quality's higher. And you can
Exactly.
animate objects, and there's other features.
Yeah.
What are your products? I mean, I'm thinking in terms of you could you can render animations,
Yep.
and you can also render still images. I mean, if you're in here and you
Yep.
just need a still image, you could also render that. Are there any
Exactly.
other?
Yep.
Okay, so
Well,
those are the main products that you would create. Anything else?
the main so right again, this is still very much in beta, so
Hmm.
this is by no means a final at all, but currently right now it's you can do video and stills with it. But what's really
Okay.
cool is one of the pain points we ran into with Enscape was you could only do single shots, so you could only go from here to here to here, or around a corner. But if you wanted different camera perspectives or things like that, a more cinematic approach to a video, where you would have to, if I want a shot panning from left to right, and then I wanted another one going like top to bottom, I'd have to create each one of those paths individually
Yeah.
and then export those videos and then combine them in a different video editing program.
Right. Right. Right.
Or
Yeah,
like
it's
we were
not
just
the
talking about, like,
technology, it's the
yeah,
person. And if you've
it,
got someone who has that cinematographic experience,
hmm,
um, Enscape is an easy tool that you can use to do difficult things, but it's going to be hacky.
yeah,
Whilst this it seems to be a little harder tool to use, but you can do things easier.
yep. It's more geared again with presentation in mind. So this is where you
Right,
can,
right, right.
like we were talking about, more advanced camera animation. So we were just talking about too, where you can actually like rotate the camera and like bank the camera,
Oh yeah,
things like
roll the
that.
camera. That's a thing I'd
Yeah,
love
you
to
can
have in Enscape, but we can't do it. Not
exactly.
yet.
Yep. Yeah, so you can do all that with inside of here. You can attach cameras to paths, and
Right,
animate
right.
along the path too, and animate all that independently. And you can also, like we're going to talk about, edit or animate objects that came from design applications. So like a simple door opening and closing, you can do all that with
Okay.
inside of here as well.
Well,
So
let's do
lights turning
so.
on, turning off, or
What do
something.
we want to lighting material animations? Is that a good deep dive?
Talk about
Like
lighting.
if yeah, so like because the thing is in like okay, from my caveman Labrador brain, early in the design project, I don't put lights in the project. I just put studio lights because I don't want to put individual lights in the ceiling, but I do want a lantern effect. So instead of going through this process and putting all this detail in my Revit file, when things are going to move and change, and I just want an effect, I just use a studio light. So let's say this project has been exported, but there are lights in it, or there needs to be more lights in it.
Yep.
What is that next step to affect the lighting and to see how that effect is going to take place in real time?
Sure. Okay.
Show
So
me.
we can do, yeah. So we could talk about the sunlight too as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
natural and artificial. Yep.
yeah. So let's do artificial lights first. So what we can do is, so this project was already built inside of Revit. This is our sample project that you can download from our website as well.
Okay.
It's going to bring in all the lights that you've already placed inside of Revit. So again, if you're just placing studio lights, just for something, it's going to bring all those
Right.
across here. So why don't we go inside and we
Anything
can,
that's a light object category in Revit, they're just going to
yep,
come across. Okay.
exactly. Yep. So let's say, for these lights inside of here, these are great. We just placed them in there, but we need to make them a bit brighter, or we want to, if we need more, we can do all that. So we can click
Yeah.
on the light, and then we can control the parameters of that as well, all with inside of here. So we can increase the intensity, we can change the color, things like that. There is also a self-illuminating material option. So if you pick our little eyedropper or select material option, you can
Yep.
select that, and then you can enable self-illuminating, and then you can adjust that intensity as well. So we can see, instantaneously what that's doing for us here.
Right.
Or like you were saying, if you just need to place more, just for more of a presentation piece
Yeah.
or,
What are they called? Like, not, are they called studio lights or are they just called ambient lights or something? Revit has that studio light that has no
yep,
geometry except for the light object, just for illuminating corners and getting rid of dark places and things in your rendering.
yep,
That's
just
great.
more like filler lights or something.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. So we have those as well inside of here. So you can also create rectangle, disc, and sphere light for now. Again, for now. So what you can do is you can simply just click, say, the rectangle light. Let's say we want to add a rectangle light inside of here. All I'm going to do is click in place,
Right. Right. Right.
and then we can see I can just drag that out, and now I can
Mhm.
further even adjust that as well. But we can see that's helping, illuminate the scene as well
Yes. I
inside.
mean, if someone's built a light and they haven't put a light in it, or a light like this where the lens is actually illuminating, the lens is illuminated because of the light that's passing
Right.
through it. That's a tricky thing to do in Revit. So you add self illumination of the geometry. But if the light's been built and you're just trying to get the idea out there and someone hasn't added self illumination to the material, this is nice because you don't have to do the round trip of going, oh, could you fix your lights
Right.
and then re export? You just do it.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
And then also they're visible during the day.
Yeah, that's I love Enscape, but don't rub it in. It's
No,
hard to
I
get
love it
those
too. Like,
lights to
yeah, like I still
I
my
just
favorite
would like
program
to
out
see
there.
those light blooms
Yeah.
during the day a little bit more.
Again, but
Yeah.
this is the companion to
Well,
Enscape.
it's another part of the workflow. And someone's
Exactly.
going to go to that next level of detail when you're
Yeah.
trying to present.
Yeah. It complements
Yeah.
what Enscape has already done.
Okay.
So
I like it.
yep.
And you're not dependent on round tripping back to the
Right.
design tool to get it to work in Envision.
Yep.
Okay. And what
Yep.
about the
Exactly.
sky vault? What were you saying there? I mean, this is your lighting. The lighting objects come through. You can augment them. You can add them, and then
Yep.
you've got the natural illumination of the sky vault.
Yeah.
What's
So
important about this?
let's get a nice shot here so we can see. Notice the clouds here. Let me turn off all my light sources. So notice the clouds too. Those are all the same exact ones that are in Enscape. So they're all
Turning
procedural as
just
well.
question, turning off those light sources, does that turn off the light, or is that just
Yep.
turning off the visual state of it?
It, yeah, it's just turning off the visual indicator.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Nope, you good. So if you go to the environment tab, this is where you can control the sun, you can geolocate it, you can control the time of day as well, all with inside of here. And then you can control the elevation as well.
Right.
Go to nighttime mode as well. And then you can see,
Oh,
our
there you
lights.
go. There's a lantern effect.
Yep, exactly. And then you can even go to even darker mode too, as well. So you're getting the clouds showing up.
Yep. So
And
even for
then,
still images, this is awesome.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then in the sky tab, this is where, again, same with Enscape, you get to control, the density of the clouds, the
Right,
variety,
right, right.
longitude, we can control the altitude as well. And then
And
for
if
the
you
ground,
render in this, if you're are you rendering in the cloud with Envision, or is it locally done? Is it locally
locally.
processed? Okay.
Yep. And then you also do have the option as well to do HDR files. So a couple different ways you can do this. you can utilize Chaos Cosmos, which you can access down in the bottom corner down here, and this will pull to the bottom tray. So this is where you can go through Chaos Cosmos library of our pre-built, HDR files. So think of Cosmos as, for those that don't know, it's basically Chaos's version of the Enscape asset library and material library. This is just called Cosmos, which has,
Okay.
which is, has 3D models, HDRs, materials, much, much higher quality too as well.
Right. 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 Right.
Yep. And what you can do now is, we can scroll through any one of these that we want, and let's just, click and drag. I'm just going to click and drag it into my scene, and there's going to load in for me.
Right.
And now, and now I can rotate this as well too, and see the effect it's having on my scene.
We talked about natural lighting, artificial lighting,
Yep,
HDR sky vaults. Can we talk about materials?
sure. We can talk about materials. My
Yeah.
favorite topic.
So the thing is, I mean, if someone's designing this, like what it is, where it is, what it's made of, how it's assembled, there's a process. And if you're just trying to figure out the geometry of this and you've got an idea of the materials,
Mm-hmm.
that may not be sufficient for early presentations, but you don't want to keep going back to the design file and you're trying to iterate in order to come to resolution. And it's even in Revit, it's hard to do that. Like if you're creating design options to show materials,
Yeah,
it's just
especially
too
on the
hard.
fly, like with the customer sitting there.
Yeah, so using this and actually investigating different material options as different, what was the word you used for the different options?
Oh, the different variations.
Variations, variants.
Yeah,
That's a new
variants.
word.
And we
Yeah.
could talk.
So
And
if
we
you
could
go,
talk
oh,
about
I know
variants
this is
too.
brick, but what if I want it to be different kinds of brick or different kinds of material? Let's investigate some ideas and not weigh down the design file
Right.
with all of these options. Let's take it offline, think about it, figure it out, and then we'll go back to the design file when we've got some resolution. But is it,
Yep.
I mean, as far as adding materials, how do you
How
do
to,
that? How trivial is it? And how would
sure.
you save some options if you want to see different variants?
No, great question. So to start, we have this little material picker up in the top tray.
Right.
So notice too, this brings over all the different materials from Enscape. So again, whatever design application you designed in, it's going to bring those materials. So you can further edit them inside of here if you would like as well.
Okay.
So
You don't have
we're
to go somewhere else and start dragging new material. You can just modify what you've already got as a starting point.
exactly, yep. And it's going to maintain all the different parameters as well. So you can control the tint color. You can control, color. You can do some color corrections inside of here too. So really, really, really powerful tools all with inside of
Right.
here. You can control the tiling as well. So this is really cool. I like this feature for the fact that a lot of the CAD tools don't do UV mapping. So it's really
Hmm.
hard to get materials wrapping around a corner or something like that to get the seams lined up. So you can use what we call this
Right.
triplanar mapping. So this will map along the X, Y, and Z axes to maintain it. So, one side of the wall is looking good. The other side is like flipped or something, or like the other side of the face is flipped differently. So this is this using this
Yeah.
triplanar mapping. This will make sure they all, seam or blend together. And there is a really cool randomization option, so you don't get that tiling or repeating as well. Because with textures, that's a really big thing.
Oh,
You
that
got you got to.
clamshell effect where it becomes distracting and obvious that the
Yep.
material is just bonk, bonk, bonk,
Yeah.
bonk, bonk. Like
Yeah,
a
and then
checkerboard.
and think of how many hours you spend in Photoshop or Paint.net or something like Photoshop or like painting out the seams. So when you put them
Right,
inside your
right, right.
so this will really help with that. If you do this randomization option and you make
Okay.
seamless, you can blend that so
Even
you
with the
can make it.
textures as they are, just use the randomization option.
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
exactly. So it really, really helps out, with that. But if we
Right.
want to do different options or see some higher quality ones, we can go to Cosmos again. So here, let me toggle Cosmos, and we'll go down to materials. And let's say we're talking about bricks. So let's talk about bricks. So simple. All you have to do is, let's pick a brick here. If I want,
Right.
this red brick right here, all I have to do is simply click and drag. And now I just keep.
What is it finding to apply that, not just on the surface you dragged it on, but other similar surfaces? Is it looking at the material name or something such that everything is getting the same material?
I believe it's just looking at the object. that has that same
Yeah.
material applied to it.
Okay.
So, and then also what you can do is now that it's inside of here, so it looks like it didn't get this one over here. What you can do is you can select all. So now that's going to select every object in your library or in your model that has that material. And now that that material is imported, what you can do is you can go to that material. So here, let me go to that brick material down here. They're all just loading.
So you're not dependent on having to pick all of these things individually. You could pick
No.
one as a
Yep.
type and say, okay, now wherever this is, select them all.
Yep. So then I can go to details and then I can hit apply to selection. So now everything that had that material
Right.
associated with it,
Right.
it's going to get that material. And then if I need to further edit it, I just have to hit embed and now I can further edit these materials as well, all what's
Could you
inside of
create
here.
one more options? You go, okay, I like this. Let's save
Yeah.
that. Let's freeze that. And now let's do another one.
Yeah.
And
So
just a
how you would
slightly different. Yeah. How would you do that?
so how you would do that is you would create a scene variant. So let's say here, let's undo this. So we can start with the original one.
Yep.
So here's the original one. So we're going to create
Oh,
a new
yeah. What if you
variant.
want to keep that? You want to keep the original, but then you want to also create variants. I gotcha.
Yep. So here we'll just say, original. There we
There you
go.
go. There
So
you go.
cool. So that's the original. And now we're going to choose, brick bear, brick bar. So now what I'm going to do, and again, is I'm going to select all those. I'm going to select all
Okay.
those. I'm going to select all of those. I'm going to select all that. And then I'm going to go to my Cosmos library here. And then I'm just going to drag and drop. And notice up here too,
Right.
they're saying there's unsaved changes. Perfect. And then what I can do is simply hit save. And now I can flip back. I'm just going to hit escape. There we go. Now I can hit the original and the brick.
Yep.
So now I can see those
There
different
you go.
variants. And now if I wanted to do a
That's
simple,
great. And you have it way
animation.
down the design file. You're just doing it
Exactly.
here.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. I can do what we call this down on the timeline here. So I access the timeline down on the animation tab. So I'm just going to
Yep.
grab the original and I'm going to grab the new brick. And now the left hand side is how long it's going to hold for. And this is the transition in between the two. So let's say I want it to, hold for 1 second, transition for 2 seconds, and then hold for another second. If I right click as well, I can further fine tune those. But all I
Okay.
got to do is simply hit play, and then we're going to see it's going to transition between the two. There
So
we go.
in your
Perfect.
animation, you can preview between these. You can play the options. You can record the
Yep.
options as an animation. Okay.
Exactly. And then we can see it's, going
I
between the
love the
two.
glass. I love the reflections in the glazing on that second level above. It's just like so subtle. So
Same.
nice.
Yeah. Again, real time ray tracing. So you're going to get much better results in real time for you.
And what happens when the design file changes and the geometry pops out a little bit or something gets tucked back? These materials are going to continue to map to those surfaces.
Yep. Exactly. So all that will stay the same.
Okay. Other,
Again, we can talk for,
sometimes, well, in the design file, there's things like there's so many placeholders that don't have materials. So like in the cafe or in that seating area, reception area that you
yep.
were at the beginning, there
Mm-hmm.
was some plush seating, and it just looked.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the geometry is great, the design is great, but there's no. It doesn't feel right. It feels a little cold.
Feels a
So
little
I don't want to
cold.
go back to it's not the green. I love the green ones like that.
Yeah.
I can feel that kind of velvety texture, but those chairs, those single chairs to the side, they're just white. They're kind
Yeah.
of, and maybe that's fine. They've been built in Revit or they're built in something else and they're good geometry placeholders. They give good intent, but there's
Mm-hmm.
not enough like texture and feel to them. So for that kind of object, how would you change the material and
So
make it feel more natural?
Yeah, so what's really cool about this is you can also pick any Enscape asset and change the material of it. So if you have, you know, manufacturer specific materials, you
Okay.
can you could load all those in inside of here too. If you just simply click the add material, you can again go navigate to a custom material you want. Or again, if you just want to utilize some Cosmos materials, so let's say for,
Right.
fabric,
Nice.
so I can pick any one of these pieces of fabric. And again, we got a lot of materials that we can choose from, much higher quality too. So what color are you thinking for this?
Like some, okay, so trying to make
We
plush
got
velvet in
patterns.
Enscape is like to make plush velvet in Enscape. I love Enscape and the materials are great, but some materials have a subtle kind of texture dimensionality to them, which
Yeah.
causes the light to reflect in a certain or to refract in a certain way, which
Yeah.
is like indicative of a velvet type of material. And I've
Yeah.
seen videos of how to hack it. It's really complicated.
Yeah. So here we have, all of these are different velvet materials. So we can choose any one of these. Do we want a color that
Right.
kind of do we want a color that pops out? Maybe a gold
There
or
you
a
go.
green.
Okay.
Yeah. So all you gotta do is, pick the one that you want and then just drag and drop it. It's gonna download that material quick and then it's gonna apply it to that surface. So now
And
we can see.
that's great. So you might
Yep.
have a placeholder in your design file. You don't know what it's made of, but you just know the shape of it. Now
Yeah.
you can do those variations and design studies here. Can you
Mm-hmm.
move their location or are those still dependent? Right. So you've
Nope.
done a first pass in the design file and the idea is right. But when you get into this environment, as a visualization expert, you want to take it, you want to be more specific and you realize the seating isn't quite right. So we should have another chair over here. Maybe we move these chairs. Are you dependent on what's coming, the geometry, location of things in the design file?
No, so that's a great question. One of the huge benefits that I really like is everything that is selectable can be animated. So let's say this chair. If I
Okay.
hit, up on the top, we have our, move rotation. I can rotate all these and I can move anything like that I want independently. So we're not dependent on the design file. We can rotate things individually. We can object manipulation at the granular level here.
Right.
And then again, like you said, we could set up a variation too, where everything is, turned, or the chairs are, arranged a certain way, or the layout's completely different. We can arrange all
Yeah,
that.
you're not dependent on everything bottlenecking in the design file. When you need to take it offline, you
Yep.
can do those design changes here and they go, hey guys, we had changes. Now put
Yep.
this idea back in the design file.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And again, that's just using that same scene variation workflow that we just showed with the bricks. And what's, you know, now think of this for like the HGTV effect where it's, doing the drop down, like things are
Oh yeah,
dropping
where you're
in.
building the space and
Yep.
honk, 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 honk. Yeah,
Yep. So you can do all that inside of here as well, too.
right. And the
It's just,
variations of material, you could also get rid of the geometry. You could get rid of all the seating and go, okay, here's another couple of ideas, and those are just more variants.
yeah, exactly. So you can have limitless
Okay,
variations inside of here.
okay.
So,
No, I don't want limitless. Don't give me limitless. It's too much. I just want like three good ones. And we'll make a fourth one anyway.
yeah, exactly. And what's really cool too is coming from Revit, you can see on my left hand side here, it's broken up by the different categories as well. So,
Oh, so
walls.
you still have your object tree, so things are organized
Yep,
in a way that makes sense. Nice.
exactly. So this is where you can, manipulate anything that's a wall. We can bring that all the way up. So just to show you too, here, let me delete these variations.
I, not to show, you're showing off. It's good.
Oh, it's fun. Like I really enjoy this tool. So
That's why
uh,
you call it storytelling. It's like,
exactly.
let's
Yeah.
assemble the building, let's tell a story.
Yep. Exactly. This is where you get to, really wow the clients.
Hmm.
And then
It just seems so approachable. It's
exactly.
like, okay, I'm an Enscape user, but I'm, you know, capable of learning more tools. But like,
Exactly. Yep. So this is the original right here.
yep.
And then So we're going to move this all the way up. So we're going to, move this out of frame.
Right, right, right.
Perfect. Yep. Save that. And then this was 10.5. There we go. Perfect. Click save. And again, now down on our timeline here, variant, and then,
Transition variant. Gotcha.
yep. So really, really simple to do. And, we could say, that's going to be for 1 second, but we can preview what that's going to look like. So now it's coming down. Boom.
There you
Simple
go.
to do.
Okay.
And now another cool thing, just because you can change the transition type to linear, ease in, ease out. You can even do a bouncy effect if you want, just because.
Well, if you just want it how you want to settle it, so it doesn't just snap into place, it's
Yeah.
a little more. I don't know about that. Now you're
Yeah.
going all
A little,
Photoshop,
little too
not
much.
Photoshop. Now you're going all PowerPoint,
Yeah. But
But there you go. You got those variations, and it's approachable. This is for someone who understands. I mean, you spent a life learning how to use Revit. You've learned how to use Enscape, and now you just need to use Enscape Pro or Envision. Yes.
yep. So
So
now,
lighting, materials.
yep.
What about animations? What kind of things would you typically animate in a master plan study to make it look more natural?
So that's a great question. So a couple things that you can do is, let's say vehicles for one. That's a big one that,
Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of
yeah,
people have asked for animated objects in Enscape, and it just seemed like it was too much heavy lifting. Like you're just
yeah,
trying to stuff all this stuff in the design file before you know what you know. And like you could technically do it, but the person that's going to do it, they want to do it in a sophisticated way and they don't want to be constrained or bottlenecked by what's in the design file.
exactly.
So, yeah,
And the design tool won't support animation. So like Revit
right.
won't support object animation. You know,
No,
SketchUp supports scene transitions, but you know, it, you're not going to do animation like you would in 3ds Max inside of Revit,
right.
SketchUp, you know, ArchiCAD or Vectorworks. So that's where,
Yep, yep.
this becomes a big thing. So what you can do to animate vehicles is you can do this spline animation. So you can click the spline and say, I'm going to start from right here. And I just, move it to where I want.
Okay, point to point. Gotcha.
Point to point. Yep.
So you draw the spline first and then you associate geometry to the spline.
Yep, exactly. And then you position the vehicle how you want. There's this option up along move along spline. This is where you can set the speed. So you can set it to
Okay.
say 10 meters a second. And now if you just go to your timeline again, and then you simply hit play, you can see that vehicle moving.
In the spline, it's a spline. It doesn't have to be straight. It could be some
Yeah.
natural shape.
Yep, exactly. And you can add multiple objects to that, and then you can offset those as well too. So you could have, a nice camera, and then you can even do like a
Oh,
nice
your
traffic
camera
light.
path can follow the object. You can track along with it. So in the scenario that we're transitioning through the space, we want the door to open and allow us to go in. You don't just want to go
Yep,
through it. Okay.
exactly. So we're gonna, create a new variation. So actually, first, this is a cool option that I like. So right now, if I were to try and move this door, you could see the access point or the pivot point is just right in the
Yep.
middle.
Yep.
Well, that's not how this door would move. So what you can do is you can click this move pivot option,
It
and now
makes
you
sense in
can.
Revit though. My insertion point for that door, it's going to be
Yep,
centered so it opens and so it gets wider and narrower. Okay, so you're
exactly.
moving the insertion point or
Yep,
the point of change.
the point of pivot.
Yeah, point of
So,
pivot. Okay.
yeah, so
You're
this
not
door might.
relying on the design tool. Oh, could you go back and set your insertion point for all these doors to be the
Yep,
hinge? No, we can't.
exactly. So this is where there might be a hinge here, or right in the
Yep.
middle, or wherever. But
Yep. Yep.
so what you would do is
But
just hit
that's your
apply.
swing. That's the point of where the door is going to swing.
Yep,
And you're not dependent
exactly.
on the design tool to get that right.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So again, using our handy dandy variant tool, so we're going to create door close, and I'm going to create a new variant. Door open, And now in that variant, all I'm going to do is simply rotate the door open. So we're going to say this is going to be, I can rotate it however much I want.
Yep.
There we go. So we'll just say 0 and then hit save. And then again, using our timeline,
you're going to animate between, oh gosh, I'm starting to get it.
And what's crazy is you can, any variant, option,
right?
Anything inside of here can be tied to a variant. So this is where you can have multiple different things as well. So again, there's the door, open, close.
So as your camera approaches, the door's opening, and
yep. Right. And then I can move the camera, to go through that door. Yeah. So how you're going to do the crowd animation is you're going to go to this anima crowd option.
Right.
You're going to set the start point. So, let's say right there. And then all you're going to do is hit create path. And then you simply draw out the path that you want. So
does it have to be straight, or can you curve the path, or?
We're going to curve.
Okay.
Yep. So we're going to curve the path, and we're going to make that path smooth. Yep. And then you save the path. Perfect. And now just to make sure I want my path smooth, I pick the spline and I hit edit. And now I can pick this individual point here, and then I can hit smooth.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
So you can pick point to point to point and then modify. You can just get it down first and then modify that.
Exactly. Okay. Yep. And then I can change the spline thickness as well if I need to.
And why does that matter? Is that for the number of people?
Yeah, so then we can have people walking both directions.
Okay.
Yep. So there we go. So that looks good to me. And now what we want to do is we want to go to our crowd, 3D models, people, and then I can filter out by animated. Now all these people are animated. So now what I can do...
So they'll walk around.
Yep. So they'll walk around. So I can set my actor count. So if I want, 5 people, I can just simply click and drag that person on there.
Oh, you're just checking the people that you want, and then you're dragging them to that.
Yep, exactly. And
their step loop is so natural. They don't walk 3 paces and then skip.
Yeah, and we can see those people moved out of the way as well. Here, let's increase this so we can see more. So here, there's going to be 15 people walking around. Perfect.
Oh, wait. How did you do that? How did you just increase the number of people on the line?
So in actor count, just hit.
Oh, okay. You just increase the actor count.
Yep, just increase that.
Right.
And what I can do too is I can actually hide the path because that's a little distracting. So now I can see them walking.
Oh, when you're in preview. Gotcha.
Yep. There we go. And we can see they move out of the way so they avoid hitting each other.
Yeah, I noticed that right there, that guy in the red shirt just kind of steps to the side a little bit.
Yep.
And
what's cool is their head
steps to the side. Yep. Right. Let's just watch it one more time. Watch, you're going to bump. Oh, no, they don't.
And what's nice too is, when you're, let's say you're inside the cafe shop, you're
right. This is where it looks more natural. You've got that activity going on outside.
Yep. Just people walking around.
That's great.
Some people even look inside. Yep. See, so this guy, he just kind of did a subtle head turn to look inside. You can, and then each individual person too, you can increase their walk speed. So you can have somebody running too, if you want.
Individually. You don't have to do the whole line doing that speed.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you can increase the total duration too of the whole timeline if you want for it to be longer. So a lot of different controls inside of here.
What else this is still in beta. People can kick the tires on it now.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you think we should have in the future for this? If someone's starting to use this and going, oh, does it do this yet? No, that's future. What kind of things are future?
FBX, OBJ import.
Exporting to FBX or importing?
Importing.
FBX. Okay.
So you can bring in...
FBX and OBJ. Gotcha.
Yep. So right now it works with VR scene. So you go any design application that V-Ray or Enscape works with, you can export out called a
Oh,
VR
yeah, we
scene
talked
file.
about that. Right now,
Yep.
if you want it in some of the design applications, you have to open Enscape and then export the VR scene. But there's also some applications that just have scene exporters. You don't even have to
Yeah.
open up the rendering tool.
Yep.
Um, Weather effects,
That's yep.
future.
Yep. Future.
I
Yep.
mean, it'll be a nice to have.
Yeah.
What else?
It's limitless. What can be done?
What did I have? I had something
Batch rendering,
Oh, particle effects, future.
particle effects. Yep.
I mean,
Um,
those are easy. People like weather and particle. People are going to want
yep.
that.
Fire,
But right
smoke.
now, you can do so much useful stuff.
Yep.
And you're not dependent on bottlenecking the design tool. You're not
Yep.
depending on the designer who's trying to figure out the building, going, oh, we need more people in the crowd. They're like, oh, no, no, I'm still trying to figure
Yep.
out the building.
One again,
Give it to
like
someone who does that kind of stuff.
yeah, like again, the design application, Revit, SketchUp, they can't do they can't do that stuff natively. So
Well, it's not even the tool can't do it. The person who's using the tool
yeah,
doesn't have another
exactly.
life to learn how that, like, it's just it's just workflow gets specialized.
Right.
And the person who's trying to figure out, like, how does this building function and what are the requirements, and then they're being burdened with, can we make the crowd more natural? Like, gosh,
Yeah.
I'm trying. Is there someone who's really good at that, who knows how to do that cinematographic type of
Right.
approach? So this
Yep.
is great.
Yeah.
So
See,
we've
like
done a deeper dive
hmm.
on lighting,
Hmm.
materials, animations. I reckon we could do a deeper dive on each one of those things
Oh,
just on itself.
absolutely.
Like, we can get really deep for the
Yep.
next variants. We'll call them variants.
Yeah.
Um, like, let's do a really deep dive on lighting. Let's do a
Yeah.
really deep dive on
Like
materials.
materials or yeah, because we could talk for
Yeah,
a long time on materials. There's
right.
so
That
many
could be its own
options.
thing. And then a
Yep.
really deep dive on animation. Like, because
Yep.
if I'm animating a car versus
Right.
something geometry in the model versus people, crowds, people seated versus people walking, what are the natural things you can do? So I feel
Yeah.
like we've got a few more
And
to go.
yeah, and we haven't even talked about the still renderings yet. Some like color correction options that are in there and stuff.
Oh, this
Yep.
is great, Josh. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
No
And
problem. And then
I hope
yeah,
you have a
thanks
wonderful
for
day. Have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday here. They're expecting snow.
I'm
Um,
already getting it,
at,
so it's probably coming your way.
yeah, 1 to 2 inches. It's going to be
Yeah, I'm about yeah, about 2 inches right now. So and still more
right.
coming. So
But it'll keep going. We'll get 1 or 2 inches and that'll be it. They already canceled class today.
oh
Like, they
jeez.
canceled class yesterday, knowing that we're going to get some snow.
Oh boy.
It's not Minnesota. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Looking forward
yeah.
to the next video. We'll do a deep dive. I guess we'll just follow the sequence. We'll do a really
Yeah.
deep dive on lighting. How about that?
Yeah. That sounds great.
All
Looking
right.
forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Take care, buddy. Yep.
You too.